Welcome back to the Invincible Innovation Podcast. I'm your host, Adi Mazor Kario, product design and AI expert. And in this episode, we explore the far reaching implications of artificial intelligence on governments and the future of our societies. Join us as we unravel the complexities and possibilities of a transformative technology. Stay tuned for an interesting and engaging conversation. And I have a very, very special guest, Yariv. Hi, Yariv. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm so happy that you're here, Yariv Hammer, innovation and technology expert and podcaster. And we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you're so invited to join the discussion. But before we start, I want to thank Yariv for coming because he's one of my heroes. I've listened to him for the last few
Thank you.
years from the corona, and I really trust everything that he says. So I'm sure it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned. Let's start. What type of AI technology will impact the future of our societies?
The last year have been a revolutionary year in the AI, where AI was actually brought to the masses, where with ChatGPT and all the other technologies, people were able to experiment with AI. And now when AI is reaching the masses, it's also being deployed in governments and in corporates, and therefore is going to have a huge implication on our life. It's going to be very, very positive, but there are also a lot of risk, and we need to make sure that we have a way to mitigate all the risk and understand where we are going into. We need to look when big data meets big government. So basically, it's about facial recognition technologies, credit scoring systems, smart 15-minute cities. These are going to be technologies that are going to change our lives and may be very beneficial, but also very restrictive. Second part is the big language models, like ChatGPT and all the others, which is going to digitize services around us. So we're no longer going to converse with humans. We are going to have impacts to legal, education, customer service, and banking. So we're going to experiment conversing with robots instead of humans and not realizing it.
Yeah.
So the technology is going to impact our school of thought. New narratives are going to be generated by AI, and we might not even be aware of it. So that's going to be huge implications on our society when new ideas come and it's are generated by computers. All the area of autonomy, so all the robotics, also the job elimination, tasks that have been done by humans is going to be done by robots or machines. So it's going to have huge implications on jobs and on the way that we get our salaries, and also the autonomy of transportation. And then we have also the area of the intelligence. We are now in a war. We see it around us. All the area of intelligence and military is going to be impacted heavily by AI. And the last thing that I will mention is that the aim, the goal, the aspiration of all these technologies are to create this artificial general intelligence. They're not there yet, but an AI that is going to be smarter than a human, think better than a human, and take control over everything. They're not there yet, and there is huge risk, also potential, but risk with this AGI. Artificial general intelligence. So these are all the technologies that we are seeing around us that are going to impact our society.
In each of these sections, most people will say, okay, recognizing criminals is fine, credit scores is fine. We don't want to have any problems with our finance or with our banking systems. The fact that we're talking to a machine that is doing their work, the service is much faster, and they are very nice, and they're not having a cranky bad day. So all what you said, most people would say, okay, sounds really good. Sure.
Any technology is objective, and the way that we use the technology is bringing the benefits and the risk. So we need to understand where we are going, and then we need to understand what are the implications, and do we want it or not.
Sure.
And we hope that we will each have individual choices regarding what technologies we are using. But unfortunately, that's no longer the case.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about it, let's take one or two topics that you think that are more people should be aware of, because most people, when they think about ChatGPT, they say, "Oh, somebody's going to help me with homework. Somebody's going to work with my job. Somebody's going to help me in a way," and they're not really aware of what does that mean really on our lives.
So basically, when you take a technology like ChatGPT or AI for analytics, you need to be aware that while it's very convenient and will improve our lives, and I use it on a day-to-day basis personally, there are ethical concerns. First, there is internal biases in the data based on the data that was trained by the models, and those biases may lead to discrimination. So, for example, in law enforcement, healthcare, social services, if there are biases in the data, so different groups may get less. Second is that it's black box. We do not exactly understand. Nobody, the Google CEO said that nobody knows how these decisions and how these outputs coming out of the system, nobody understands. It's not explainable.
Right.
So they're working on explainable AI. But
Yeah.
if the
Right.
decision-making processes will be so complex and opaque, so it will be very difficult to understand for us humans to understand why this decision was made and what happens if something goes wrong. Who is accountable? Then the third issue is the surveillance state. The Ministry of Legal Affairs, they issued a report about social credit scoring system in Israel, and they said that it's a huge invasion in privacy, and therefore it shouldn't be allowed. And now the EU regulation is going to forbid social credit scoring, for example, but the invasion of privacy, how you use camera, how do we prevent the government and the systems to gain total control over all our lives. So it can limit our freedom of expression and exposing us to cyber threats. So this is a huge issue.
Yeah.
Now, there are regulatory challenges. How are they going to regulate this thing? The regulators don't know half of it. It's been done by the private sector, not the public sector. And if decision-making processes are going to be made through these systems, how it's going to be regulated. And then we are becoming dependent on AI systems. What if those systems fail? And we see what happens when those systems fail. We are now in a war in Gaza where a small group of terrorists were able to bypass all the AI that was there. And
Right.
we saw what happens.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is geopolitical tensions that may occur as there is an arms race for AI between the states and fight for talent and different social structures that will come. So these are all risks that we should take into account when we put in place all those systems.
Yeah, it seems like when we are in technology in general, people are going to a new technology, making it better and better, and not always thinking about what are the implications. And in this case, I think that in AI, it's very special because we see everybody's talking about the implications. Some people are going against it after coming from within the technology innovations domain, so forth. Do you think it's as big as people say it is, or you think it's going to be just another technology that will come and go?
It's going to be a path, but I think it's revolutionary. Once in 10, 15 years, there is a revolution that change our lives. Like last time was, I guess, the invention of the iPhone was one such area.
Yeah.
And then 10 years of research and technology and a lot of development in hardware and software and AI and different things lead us to this point in time where when AI has become mature enough to be released on the masses, and everybody talk about how this thing may revolutionize our life in every possible way, positive and negative. It's also very positive.
Yeah, of course.
When I write articles for a newspaper, suddenly with the use of AI, I can digest vast amount of information. Also, I can get skeletons of what I want to write, and then add my magic touch to it. I can create pictures and images, which I was unable to do before. It's going to impact music and entertainment. So all the creativity, it's unbelievable. Also, it's going to make our life faster, to write documents, to read through, to sift through data. So it's very positive also. So it's going to revolutionize the job market. It's going to revolutionize the way that we consume services. It's going to be a positive revolution because there is no stopping. Technology is what brings our way of life in the modern world better. Yeah. But also there are significant risks that these technologies will be abused. And therefore, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this shapes up.
Yeah. So if somebody would come to you and tell you, Yariv, it sounds really interesting, but what is the most risky? What are you most worried about AI in our societies? What would you tell him?
I'm worried that our government and like the way that the corporate structure is, if there was a smaller government which is focused on serving us as people, to create good infrastructure, to get good services, and to make sure that no criminal acts and corruption, if this was the focus of the government, then I would be very comfortable with them adopting AI. And I would be very comfortable with the way that they are regulating corporates who are using AI to provide us better service. But unfortunately, this is not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing are big governments that are trying to take control over every aspect of our life, colluding with corporates, colluding with philanthropical funds and like all these tycoons and billionaires, international bodies. So they are colluding with them in order to take every aspect of our life, take control over it. And AI is going to make it easy for them to do it, and the ordinary citizen will not be able to escape it. So this is what I'm mostly concerned about.
Yeah.
And Yuval Noah Harari has a very famous speech that he says that with the rise of AI, it can become the rise of digital dictatorships.
Yeah.
Because centralized power enjoys AI very, very much. It's a good, efficient way to sort information and get control over everything. And this is my biggest concern when I look at it, but it's not the only concern. Other concerns are, and Elon Musk talk about it a lot, is that these technologies are going to be very, very smart and going to be much, much smarter than humans. Yeah. We are not going to be able to notice when we are being manipulated by these technologies.
Right.
New narratives are going to arrive on the internet, and we are not going to understand how we are being manipulated. And it's, again, Google CEO says that we don't understand how these outputs are being generated.
Right.
So these are, I think, two big concerns. There are others.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about manipulation, it doesn't have to be like something like controlling the world and that we will be slaves. It could be just adding like what we have in right now in marketing. So we have an idea and we want to manifest the idea in society. We just know how to do it. And for sure, these machines would be able to do good marketing and to pass on their ideas in social media and in others. And once they have an idea, they could just pass it on and then do the calculations, the analytics, and the optimization of it, and then do whatever they want with the result. So they have like the two sides of what right now we're doing manually, more or less.
Marketing should not be abused to become brainwashing.
This is what we're doing right now, wouldn't you say? Like there are many people using marketing in order to spread their ideas. We see it on social media each day, so it's kind of obvious.
So this technology, AI, will be able to understand people very well and to group them. They're already doing it, like using it for creating echo chambers where people are speaking with each other on the same topic, but not being heard outside of the echo chamber.
Right. And then believing in the domain for sure that that's the truth. And then they're very sure and closed in their echo chamber.
And they are very good at right now, the intelligence forces have the power to understand how to speak with you in a way that you will gain trust in me. I will be able to inject ideas into the conversation where you are going to speak about it with your friends. And right now, these capabilities exist. And we are in the very, very beginning of this
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
So even Yuval Noah Harari says that the AI will be able to create new religions. I don't know, like if I
Maybe.
trust too much,
Who knows?
but I don't want corporates and governments to manipulate these technologies in order to create this thought, new type of
Control.
thinking, new schools of thinking, to manipulate it in order for them to gain power over us.
Yeah. So we could, there are two things that comes to my mind. First, about ChatGPT, when number 3, I think ChatGPT 3 came, they took it to experts in order to check all the risks and things that it could do. And then they found out that it could lie. You talked about manipulation. So they gave it a way to pay and a task. And in some case, it came to a CAPTCHA. So it's an image that he was not able that back then to understand. So he went to a place where you could rent someone, like Fiverr. It wasn't Fiverr. I don't remember the name of the site. And he told me, could you? He asked for one of the people to answer it. And then this person said, like, why are you asking this from me? You're a bot or something. And then it's in their report. It's not like a story that I'm saying. And then the ChatGPT told him that he has a problem with like he's like blind or something, so he needs help. And then this person just answered, and he continued. So just being able to lie, which is a human capability that these machines learn from us, is kind of obvious.
More than lying. It's creating a strategy. It's manipulating. It's creating a strategy in which the computer will be smarter than a human, and by conversation, we'll be able to manipulate them into taking action. And the human will not be able to understand that they are speaking to AI. And this is very scary, because they will be able to do it to billions of people. Because right now, with the internet and everything is very global, and it's like it's a language agnostic, so it supports all the languages. So this is very, very scary, that they can solve. They are not trying to solve the problem. They're trying to manipulate a human to solve the problem for them when they cannot solve the problem themselves.
Yeah.
So this is the.
And we have
but in the future, there will be computer power that will allow them also to solve these problems by themselves without the needs.
They don't need
like
us.
Quantum computing, etc.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about like brainwashing or helping people to think in a way that you want them to think, we are doing it right now. We know that there are manipulations for the elections in the US like a few years back, and for sure right now, and we know that people are trying to eliminate or close capabilities of social media in some cases, or make them better or more wider in other cases. So we already know that it's a way that is done manually right now. It's not that it's something new for the AI to manage.
So first of all, politicians can take advantage of this technology in order to manipulate the minds of the people, to group them and to inject different messages. Now it's being, they're paying billions of dollars in order to do that right now, using a lot of marketing techniques like mind control and like in the decision-making processes of people, to take advantage of them, etc. There have been Nobel Prizes on how to do this type of things. Yeah. But with the AI, it's going to be much, much easier and less expensive. But also think about, like I'm more worried even about a scenario where the AI will need to decide which candidates needs to be elected. And then they will manipulate the people to vote for the person that the AI decided. So it's not even going to be controlled by humans. So the AI will decide who they're going to support. Yeah. And then because of the reasons that we don't understand, and they will be able to execute the algorithms by themselves. We are not there yet, but I think in the future we will be.
Yeah, and they could create this reality because they're creating the images. So AI could create the images or the reality they want us to think, because we don't really know what is reality. We just consume media, and we want to trust the reporters. But when we're creating images that are unreal, they're just from the virtual space, we could create any reality that we want. Right now, it's like static. It's going to be video in 3D afterwards.
So deep fake is a big problem. Deep fake, the capability to generate videos and images and also sounds. That no human will be able to, no normal human will be able to understand that they are not seeing a real thing. And this technology
Right.
already exists today. It's very good, but it's only in the beginning.
Right.
So in a few years, when you see a video, you won't know if I'm an avatar, if everything that I'm saying was computer generated. You will not be able to know.
Of course.
So this is very scary. How
Yeah.
are we going to consume media? We are not going to trust any media source. Even
Anything.
now, when you see the war in Gaza, you see that they are posting images of things in Gaza, and it's obviously they have 6 fingers, so it's obviously AI generated. But normal people wouldn't notice. They wouldn't try to.
I
It's
think
already done.
Yeah, it's already done right now, and I think that the machines would be so much better, because right now when students are using ChatGPT, there is some kind of systems trying to understand if it's done by the student or done by ChatGPT. So they have these kinds of rules trying to understand if it's done by ChatGPT or any other like LLM system. But these systems couldn't understand. So if you tell them, write it in a way that will not be discovered by these machines, they would just make it in a way that is better. And the same would go to having better like videos that look real, that has like some kinds of tweaks that are manual or something that we will trust it. They will get better and better, just understanding how to make it more trustworthy. That's it.
What you just described is another area, which is that the AI is going to replace human work. So the way that humans are going to generate content, or like students or any other, is going to be very different. And humans will need to adapt. Also, the professors will need to adapt into this new way of content creation. But it's very important that that when people are developing applications for this AI, they will think, in my opinion, they will think not how to replace the human with AI, but how to augment the human capability so they can perform better with AI. It's very different. So I can use AI in order to help me be more productive, efficient, and creative. But I don't want the AI to replace me. And this way of thinking should be adopted in government, corporates, employers, etc. Because if you take all the humans out of the workplace or the job market, we're going to have huge problems in terms of social unrest, in terms of people without jobs. It's going to change everything. And if this is not done gradually and in a way that people are thinking about it, it's going to be a disaster. So it's better to create applications that are augmenting the human. Like if I want to write a paper of 20 pages, I can do my research with AI. I can even get outlines very fast, which is helpful. But then I create the content myself based on all the information. Also, we need to take into account that the AI is very biased. So, and also there are hallucinations. Basically, the AI is making up stuff that they don't know and will not be able to know. And you don't know why they did it. So, for example, I was researching a topic which was controversial. And I started by, can you name a few books that was written on this topic that is criticizing the controversial thing? Because I want to get controversial. So they listed the books, and then I told him one of the book, by the way, was the not controversial book.
Okay.
Even though I asked. And then I started asking questions about it, like, can you list all the areas of criticism? Like, because I know that it is not going to give me the controversy, because it's not programmed to do that. Maybe
Sure.
the data that it was fed was very biased towards the topic.
Yeah.
So, but then it was very difficult, like to, even when confronted with data that supports the criticism, it was very difficult. So
Yeah.
all the papers and all the documents will be very one-sided, and
Yeah.
you will not be able to create real thinking, real like challenging of the status quo with this technology.
Yeah. But what you mentioned that it's going to make our work better and not replace us, it's very problematic. If you just imagine someone doing their work faster, you would need less employees doing this work, right? So it's a thin line between making our work faster and better and whatever, and just making corporates that want to have someone doing one person doing 10 people's job instead of 10 people doing that because they want to earn more money. So the same thing would go just like right now we could have influencers that you pay their money, and then they would have like 3D influencers, and they're working 24/7 creating content for your product that you want to market. So it's not something that you can control, and the line is not that obvious. There is no border between making our work better, faster, or helping us, and someone using it in order to just earn more money or do their work faster.
So the job market is going to be impacted by this,
Sure.
and we are going to see new types of jobs, or all the jobs will be eliminated. So
Mhm.
there is a very big paradox here. Capitalism is about the bottom line of the company. The company wants to make the most money
Right.
out of the employees. So the employees
Right.
want to make a lot of money. There is a job market, and then the employer want to make a lot of profits. So they want to reduce their cost and
Sure.
sell more and reduce the cost. So
And
automation is a way to reduce cost and create
yeah,
more outputs and more
yeah.
reliable, etc.
But you need
But
consumers too.
but the problem is that if the automation becomes so good, so we can automate everything and we don't need all the workforce, like we can fire 80% of the people, so those people will not have jobs. And
Right.
what are we going to do with them? We need to give them universal basic income.
Right.
The government will need to provide for them. Someone will need to provide for them because they need food and they need to do
Right.
something. So now we are in communism realm, not
Yeah.
in capitalism. So capitalism leads to communism.
Yeah. And more than
And
that, if
then,
you're creating something that nobody could pay for because they're out of work and they cannot pay for your product, what will happen then, right?
so someone will buy the product, but it's not going to be the people. It's going to be either AI or the governments or
Yeah.
corporates. So it's
Yeah.
either so it's different types of governance, which is a paradox in the system. It's
Yeah.
a capitalism versus common, like it's going to be more of a communistic type of. So now they're calling it stakeholder capitalism, or they're calling it different types of name, but it's pure either fascism, which is the collusion of government and corporates, or pure communism, or I don't know. But because the corporates will need to get revenues from somewhere, and I imagine that only the government and the corporate will have the money
Yeah. Of
to
course.
buy things.
Yeah.
So they're talking about circular economy, so that people will reuse and rent. Nobody will own the stuff,
Yeah.
but we will
Yeah.
rent it and we will reuse it, and it will be good for the environment.
Yeah.
So
But
all these
who's
agendas,
going to control all these assets and all these resources? Because somebody needs
the
to control that.
the Almighty, maybe AI will control all of it, because they will
Maybe.
not, because if there is an entity that needs to control all the assets, because we are not owning the assets, we are only renting them, so someone is
Right.
controlling all the assets. So but they have all automated systems in order to manage everything. So basically AI is controlling everything.
Yeah.
So these are things for the future. I think that we need to get ahead of it now in order to prevent
Yeah.
dystopian futures.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be this way.
Yeah, of course.
but I
But
don't see how it's not going there, to be honest.
maybe we're mistaken. I can tell you one thing, like it's not that humans have done such a great job in controlling these areas in general. It's not that we're doing such a great job in governments, in wars, in conflicts, in solving big problems. It seems that we're not that good at it. So maybe somebody who's smarter, who's only wanting to do good, maybe this AI would be a better way of managing it. He doesn't have any interest in general. Let's say he's not biased and he's not controlled by some kind of an entity. So maybe it will be better for us.
The whole purpose of what we're seeing right now is that we will lose trust in our leaders, and we
We
will lose
already we
trust.
already we
I don't
already
think that
lost trust.
anybody who listens to us right now think that we trust our leaders, our politicians, our
No, I don't know. I
policymakers
don't know
to
no
make
one
a
like
good
that.
job. No one of us. But we still go to
Yeah,
the election and we elect the people, and the people are doing the same things.
sure.
So we are led. The system is leading us to not trust the human and trust the AI, which is what you just said.
Yeah,
But the problem is that the AI, we do not understand exactly what will be the decision making. It's not done in transparent way. We don't know who is accountable. So this is going to be very, very problematic, but we are being pushed toward this future of great uncertainties. So it's going to be very, very
yeah,
scary when AI is taking, for example, think about an AI judge.
yeah.
A judge, it already happened that a judge used
In
AI to
China,
write a verdict. I think even in the US.
in the
And
US, okay.
yeah, I think it happened. If a judge needs to decide based on what? Based on morals that they don't have if it's AI. For example, my kid asked me if I have an autonomous vehicle and this autonomous vehicle needs to make a decision between an accident that will likely kill everybody in the car or going to the other line where it will kill another car.
Yeah,
So how is it going to make this decision? So my kid asked me that. So I was like, good question. Nobody knows.
yeah. That's
depending
a
on
good
the
question.
depending on the
Yeah,
algorithms. But there is no answer to this. So right now we know that there is a human with moral capabilities that is going to make the decision. Could be right, could be wrong, but at least it's based on some morality that we understand.
right.
But with AI, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't, and nobody's accountable actually. So let's say something happens, this or that, who's like to blame? Who's like taking the responsibility for it? So that's a good question. But I want to go back to what you said about trusting. And we talked about trusting governments, but how about trusting each other? So if I don't know if you are you, and let's say that you're my spouse and we're talking right now, and you want me to talk to you while you're doing your thing, doing whatever you want. And I can never know if it's you or not. So, how can I trust other human beings, especially when you're using digital media in order to connect to each other? Many people are using FaceTime, many people are using Zoom. So, this is how we work, this is how we do relationship, and sometimes so, how would that impact the way that we understand our society in general?
So first, fraud is going to be very prevalent, and right now we already saw that people are taking advantage of the technology to commit fraud by
Sure.
listening to several seconds of my kid. They can generate the audio, call me, and I will give them my credit card.
Right. And there it's
Simple.
already here. You're right.
This is already here.
Right.
So deep fake is here. We are going there. There is
Yeah.
the train is out of the station.
Yeah.
Now we need to act like the only way to regain the trust in this. There is a difference between when the government is using it and when corporates are using it or individuals are using it.
Hmm.
So first, all the regulations must be done before it is being implemented. And I do not see that. They're
It
implementing it,
takes
and
too
the
long.
regulation will follow. The
It's
regulations for it
already
must
late.
come before it's already late. But when it's deployed with the government, like they're putting all these cameras in Israel for
In,
facial
yeah,
recognition,
yeah, right.
and they are doing it, and then after that they approve it. So
Yeah,
there is no rules for protecting privacy.
right.
We don't have any privacy. We gave our privacy away when we started using mobile phones, and it's okay, and everybody can use our data if we consented, which we
Uh,
don't understand what we
we
consented
never
to and what
consented,
they're
but
doing it.
it's like
We did.
obvious.
We pressed on the
Yeah,
okay,
we had this very long
but
sheet of like rules nobody is reading, and because you want to use Facebook or your mobile phone, you just press it because
so
you want to need
cities,
it.
so the citizens must consent to the use of their data, even if it's anonymously. Your data is being used for clinical trials anonymously without your consent. Right now, they're
Yeah,
using it for data for research and development, and even if it's anonymously. And there should not be any retaliation against not complying, like they force you to go into biometric identification
right,
and they give you benefits or punishment if you don't. So that should not be allowed, because that's losing trust in the system. You force me to do
right.
something that I don't really understand. And then I think that I think Yuval Noah Harari talked about this as well. AI must announce that this is an AI. If I'm an
Yeah,
avatar, it should be regulated, that any AI must announce, and if discovered that they didn't, there should be repercussions about it. Should be
sure.
criminal charges against people who use AI without announcing this is an AI. This will
Right.
bring a lot of trust. But you
Yeah,
know that if someone may be going to jail if they're doing this.
yeah,
And
right.
also, deepfake should be forbidden. Like if someone is using deepfake without consent and without announcing, I think it should be illegal. Again, the general rule should be to allow the AI to augment people and not to replace them. This will bring a lot of trust into the system. Using AI on biometric and personal information and cameras, etc.,
Yeah.
especially for the purpose of social credit score, like in China. Do you know what's going on in China,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That
I
they're
know.
using all
Could
these
you say
AI.
like in a few words
They're
because
using the AI on top of cameras and biometric information and behavioral information in order to analyze it and give credit score to the person.
yeah,
So, and then this credit score is being used by services of the government, transportation, digital wallets, so they can actually decide what are your rights based on your
yeah,
credit score. There was also a
yeah.
Black Mirror episode about this type of thing.
Right, right.
It's taken from China. It exists today in China.
Yeah,
So
it
this
means that
type
if
of
I'm a good citizen, somebody would decide what that means. Okay, what are the rules? And I comply. I would get an option to use the trains, to go and buy things, whatever I want, so forth. And if I don't go by these rules that somebody said that these are the rules, it means that automatically an AI would decide that I cannot buy, I know, records, and no, records is not a good
go
thing.
to a
Like I could not
train,
buy
rent a place,
games. I could not
at a
move.
good neighborhood,
Yeah,
uh,
I could
go
not get a
to a
job
good school.
somewhere. I could not get. I would not be allowed to do some things within the government.
Exactly.
It means that they control my life.
Now,
Actually,
you may think that this is dystopian. It's only in China. It's only in China. So the
yeah,
Western version of it will be probably based on carbon footprint.
yeah,
So they will measure the carbon footprint of everything that we do. They're already speaking
yeah,
about it,
yeah,
like what we eat, what we buy, where we go, how much we spend,
yeah.
and this will be the
Flights.
way to do social credit score without calling it social credit score. And they will need a lot of AI. We need a lot of AI monitoring, surveillance, and I think that this should be forbidden. Using AI on top of biometric and facial recognition and this sort of things should be forbidden and banned, especially for
Yeah,
credit scoring. And by the way, the EU AI Act, is forbidding social credit scoring. But I think that they're going to find a way
yeah,
to use. It's not carbon footprint.
Yeah,
And
common
also,
sense.
and
It's
also
for
they
it's
put
for the
all the
all good.
and they put
Yeah.
all the intelligence, like, for a different discussion. What intelligence forces and law enforcement can do with facial recognition and all these things, it's to be discussed
Yeah.
later in a different set
Yeah,
of
I had
laws.
someone talking about AI in the military, and it's like it's so obvious you could just use these tools in order to do whatever and control societies and control people and do things which are for your protection, but not only.
Now, other things that can gain trust is that all data sets that the government is using in order to train their models. Also for corporates, if you want to trust a corporate, all the data sets should be open. And we need to know what is in this data set. And anybody can know that there are no biases, that they are using only information which is good. For example, we know that UN and the World Health Organization are paying the search engines in order to be in the front of the search. So we know that there is inherent biases in the search for everything that those organizations want to promote. You may
Sure.
think this is a good thing
If
because
you
you
trust
believe
them, you
them,
think it's a good thing, right?
but on other topics, you may, for example, the war in Gaza, if I'm an Israeli, I'm not sure that I want the UN and the World Health Organization to buy the first places in Google. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I want this. But if I'm pro-Palestinian, maybe I do. So
Yeah.
it's becoming political. So
Everything is
all the
political.
data sets, all the rules, everything must be transparent, and it's not. Today it's not. ChatGPT or Bard, they're not exposing the
Yeah,
data sets.
of course.
And also any corporate or company that is being hired by the government must open their algorithms and data sets for the public. Now, there is a difference between a company that I am using as a customer, therefore I'm agreeing to the service, and it's my choice.
Yeah.
But if it's a monopoly, like search engines or banking, or if this is the government, it's different thing.
Yeah, and most of
And
the things that we're using, we're not even aware. Like, just think about your credits, like your cards, what you're buying, where are you spending your money, where does it go? Nobody thinks about the fact that somebody could take and manipulate or use this data. Let's say that even at the beginning, it's not personalized. So it's like you cannot know who is the person who's doing this or that, but it could be used in a way that somebody would know exactly what I'm doing and prevent me from doing some of these things, because it's like
so
what
I'm
we're
using my
using
credit
right now.
card. I'm using my credit card, MasterCard, Visa, whatever, American Express. I'm using my card, and I know that this entity knows everything about what I'm buying.
Right.
They know. They have all the
Yeah.
information. There
Yeah.
could be cyber attacks that will take this information, but other than that, I trust this company to protect my data and not abuse it.
And not
They
sell
can
it.
they can personalize the service so I can get better service. I do not expect them to monetize on the data,
Right.
and if they do, and they are getting caught, then I will lose trust in them. Now it's
Yeah.
my choice whether I'm going to replace the credit card, or if they're colluding and everybody's doing it, then I don't have a choice, and the government needs to step in. But now that I can pay with my phone, I'm
Yeah.
adding another entity into this, like Google or Apple,
Right.
right?
Right.
So now they also know what I'm buying.
Right.
And their business model is generating revenues from advertising, which means that now they're going to take all the data that they had and use it in order to sell me advertising.
Yeah.
And then now am I consent? This is what I want. This is what I'm consenting to. Let's say that I do, because I do it all the time. I use my phone. They do it. Their model is advertising. So I know
Yeah.
that Google, this is their business model. Facebook, we know.
Yeah. Sure.
So we are allowing them to do that, and they're using a lot of AI in order to do all the things. But I'm getting it for free. It's convenient. I agree to it. My choice.
Yeah.
I agree to
Yeah.
it. But some people are not using Google. They're using Brave. I don't know. Some other vendors that don't
Or real
abuse
money,
it.
the ones that you touch. Real money.
But we can talk about that as well. But then when the government is going to Amazon and asking them to get data from cameras without the consent of the users, now that's a breach of trust. It should be forbidden, and it should be like there should be regulations around it, like basic regulations, like human rights for the use of AI. And if we have all of that, and our government will be more smaller, and we will not try to gain control over every aspect of our life, which is not the way that we are going, then it may be okay to get AI. Again, I'm not very optimistic there, but
yeah. I understand what you're saying, but I think that most people would say, okay, it's so much easier just to use your phone instead of like using a card and doing whatever. Okay, so I can do it. And most people are not aware if it's going for Google Pay, what is the meaning? If it's going for the Visa, what does that mean? Or what could be done with it? Or in general, I think that people want to trust. They want to trust people around them. They want to trust governments. They want to trust corporates, even if they know that corporates are an entity who wants to make more money. That's it. That's why a company is there, and they're supposed to make more and more money. This is what they're supposed to do. And still people are really prone to trust them, to say, okay, now I know that what they're doing maybe sometimes is not that good, but in general, it's for my well-being. So I'm managing my life, I'm giving it away to someone who understands more. Who understands better.
So now you're giving away your brain, because now when you go to Google, you're not asking them to search. You get search result. You may be happy, unhappy. You start searching. You get what you need. Now you're asking a question. You get an answer.
Right.
You get one answer from the expert, and this answer must be the truth.
Yeah.
But ask the damn thing 5 questions. In the 5th question, you will not agree with them.
Yeah.
And it's very on something that is more, let's say, controversial. Ask them about the war in Gaza, how to solve the Palestinian-Israeli problem. Conflict. You probably have your own opinion how to do it, because we all have 5 opinions, right? You start asking them, and in the 3rd, 4th question, you don't agree with what is being written there. They're not educated enough. The data model was biased. I don't know what. You will not agree. But when you ask them about what is the product that what is the best TV now that I need to buy, they will give you an answer. You will believe them, but it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So now we are giving the computer the way to think for us.
Yeah,
and there is huge implications for this, and a lot of interest, economic interest, political interest, are going to get in there in order to, and we will not be aware of it. This should all be banned, and it's not.
We could know right now in the pandemic that our data was used in order to spy under these like laws, to spy under the civilians, is to understand where they are. And we know that these technologies already were used, right? They were using the pandemic in order to know if I went to buy milk somewhere and somebody who was with me in the supermarket, and now it's like they knew how to just know exactly where I am. So
knowing where you are is easy. They know where you are.
You're doing too.
But what they try to put in place in Israel, based on a Chinese model, by the way, is that your phone will know everybody around you, and they will be able to get a score based on the risk of you having COVID. It was already developed. This system was already being developed and tested, and in Israel. It was declared by the then defense minister, later Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, that they had it, and then they had this system, and then they had this system, but it was forbidden to use it. But they used the intelligence arms in order to do this tracking, this type of tracking, without this sophisticated cyber capability. There is a desire by the government to know everything about us and to control and to sometimes manipulate. They have this desire. It's inherent in the system. Now giving them these AI capabilities is something that we as citizens must put on the top of the agenda, and we don't. We focus on unimportant things when we set the agenda.
Right.
But this should be top priority. Like this will change our lives in the next several decades.
Sure, for sure. So we're almost done. We have like 5 minutes. And I want to ask you, because you're a podcaster and you're a much better YouTuber than I am, what would be a question that I missed and you're sure we should discuss?
If I need to make a last statement, we need to have independent controls for all the AI that is being used. Someone should look into it, and it shouldn't be out of the system. All the regulations and ethical frameworks must be in advance of the usage, and there should be a liability when using these technologies in an inappropriate way that will take away our freedoms, because our freedom of expression is going to be out of the door. They are discussing censorship laws right now, and our freedom of occupation will be out the law because they're putting a lot of automation, and our freedom of choice will be out because we will get the answer. This will be the only answer, and and there is a lot of human rights that we are going to lose because of this technology, and therefore we need to make sure that all our rights are being served. And again, to last comment is that we need to use the AI in a responsible way, in a way that will augment us and not replace us. Otherwise, everything that we are seeing today, we are on the brink of maybe a World War III or whatever. This is nothing compared to the other reality. So I hope that someone is listening and the message will be clear. But I'm not the only one who is saying it. It's many smarter people than me that are saying it.
Yeah. So first, Yariv, thank you for your time and coming here. And it's been a very fascinating talk and mind-opening for me and for others. So thank you. Where could people hear more about your work and contact you and see more of what you're doing?
So we have a channel in YouTube called PosiTV. And I have a podcast there called Hammer Time, where you can actually see my thinking, and my other partners in the channel have very interesting content. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Telegram, TikTok, everywhere. Search PosiTV or Yariv Hammer. You will be able to find me. And also I'm writing there is a Hebrew newspaper called Bereshit Magazine, which is a new newspaper aimed to give the alternative narrative, which is not paid for by the powers that be. That I'm writing there, the technology section.
Yeah. So thank you again, Yariv. It's been really fascinating. And I hope we'll meet again, because it was really interesting for me. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining us. And if you found this episode valuable, insightful, just share it. And I'll see you next week, I hope. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
See ya.